This episode is sponsored by Exactuals, perfecting insurance payments and the data driving them.
Great.
Susan, hi, how are you doing?
Well, I am well. Good afternoon, good day, good time of day. So thank you for having
It is my
me.
pleasure. Are you in Des Moines?
I am in Des Moines, and more specifically, I'm in a suburb of Des Moines. I'm in Waukee, Iowa, which is headquartered of Holmes Murphy, and then BrokerTech Ventures is also headquartered in Des Moines. So that's that is where we are dialed in from today.
Fantastic. Listen, I admire the fact that you are in the office and we can see the keyboard and all the things that say sort of going back to normal. How do you feel about it?
That I staged this all for you to see that there is a semblance of normalcy coming back to us
Yes,
all.
because I think that, well, originally we met in GIA or their symposium day. So that was a while back. We had the opportunity to meet,
Hmm?
over Zoom or other conference calls, and that usually was from your home. Are you excited
Exactly.
to go back a
Yes.
little bit to the office? And are there other people? Is there a feeling of Normality?
So that's a great question. We, in the office that I am in, I would say we are at 25% occupancy. We also have a BrokerTech Ventures office, which is downtown Des Moines, and that's more of a, call it more of a co-working environment. And we are seeing some of those companies coming back. So there is a semblance of normalcy. It's on the horizon.
I'm so happy that you sort of hinted to that because I didn't even manage to, properly introduce you as, I don't know, the brains, the operation, the person behind or in front or to the side or all over of BrokerTech. So how about you'll make a quick introduction, who you are and what are you focusing on?
Sure, absolutely. So, Susan Hatten, and I serve as Chief Operating Officer of BrokerTech Ventures, which is a company co-founded and co-owned by Holmes Murphy, which is the parent company. Thus, why I'm in this office this afternoon. But I have been with Holmes Murphy 7 years. I have led as Chief Operating Officer of BrokerTech Ventures, which we founded the company in 2019. And I know you are well aware of this, but we founded the company at the InsurTech Connect conference in September of 2019, and have been really running hard and fast since then to build the company into what it is now and where we're headed in the future.
And where are you heading?
Oh,
You know,
to the
of
moon,
course,
to
to
the
the moon and
moon.
beyond. But before we use all kinds of, I should think about adding all the graphics that we see now on Reddit with all the GameStop and other stuff, rockets and
Yeah.
going to the moon. Before we jump to the moon and next and whatever that the future brings, let's talk about the present. So you guys been running
Sure.
BrokerTech, even before the present. Let's still talk about the past. BrokerTech Ventures, how that came as an idea.
So BrokerTech Ventures came about as an idea by M3 Insurance, which is out of Madison, Wisconsin, and Mike Victorson, their chairman, um, and the idea really began and originated around an idea to create a capital structure, a capital fund that would be supported by brokers and invite insurtechs to be elevated through capital and then also through this distribution channel. And what Mike and team found in that process was that brokers actually wanted more than a passive investment. So Dan Keough and Ellen Willardson and I know you've met several of them through the process of BrokerTech Ventures, but effectively we had taken that kind of seed of an idea and said, well, gosh, what if rather than passive investments, we actually started with an accelerator model to invite insurtechs to come break bread with us, celebrate with us, and we would, as a partner to them, educate the insurtech solutions in terms of what we do in the world of a brokerage, how we work with carriers, wholesalers, and otherwise. And if we have conviction around what they're doing, then we would back it up with capital. So we've almost flipped the model on its head, which is effectively what became BrokerTech Ventures, which was on a whiteboard in May. It was May 17th of 2019. I remember exactly where we were. And again, it was a whiteboard concept, May of 2019, and we launched the company at InsurTech Connect 2019. So it is a model which we're proud around the name and the brand, and also certainly the towers of operation that we've built underneath it all.
Just about to mention that you just mentioned 2 towers out of the 5 towers, and I always contemplated between, isn't the capital already, covering a little bit of the venture or the early stage, but we can talk about that later, because that's part of your vision about, 5 pillars, 5 towers. So today, basically you're in the second cohort, right?
Correct. We are in phase 2 of the second cohort. So all collective, we have 26 insurtechs who are a part of the BTV portfolio. Wow. 24 are graduate, or 24 have gone through our accelerator. And then as we get into the towers, we'll speak to early stage, but we also have made investments in companies, and we explore investing in other insurtechs who may not go through our accelerator. So we have a model to capture that as well. So it's been fun to see the 26 of them grow and mature as they spend time with BrokerTech Ventures and our collective community.
Yeah, maybe we should talk a little bit more about that, because I think that I'm confusing the audience at this point by talking about the towers and talking about this, and you're already starting to give a little bit, glimpses of what's going on in 26 companies, then there are 24. Let's dive into it, if you don't mind.
So should we hit on the towers? Would that make sense?
Sure. Okay. If I remember correctly, you have innovation, you have capital, you have early stage startups, then you have an accelerator and media. Am I correct, more or less? Oh.
You got it. Yes, you got it. So I will work from how we view them from left to right. So accelerator is on the left, and that is, we view the accelerator as really the first point of entry for an insurtech to engage with BrokerTech Ventures. So we do have an accelerator. We have a really fantastic executive director. His name is John Jacobin. John is a former Techstars alum, and he's doing a fantastic job navigating our accelerator and our cohort companies. So, and you're correct. We do provide our insurtechs who go through our accelerator with $50,000 in the form of a safe, and then we obviously attach them to the BrokerTech Ventures distribution model, which is effectively what sets us apart from other accelerators, incubators out there, is we've taken the traditional model where you might receive interest in your program because of the capital. We actually believe the interest is that we bring the distribution, the customers, the pilots, proofs of concepts, and commercial engagements first, and then we back it up with additional capital through our early stage tower, which I'll get on here in a moment. But so the accelerator, again, we have 24 insurtechs who have gone through our process. And just to hit on some metrics, which I find fascinating, we had taken a measure of the 2020 cohort graduates, so 12 insurtechs last year, and we did a valuation model pre-BrokerTech Ventures and post-BrokerTech Ventures. And in a matter of 4 months of their engagement with BrokerTech Ventures, the collective valuation of those companies was in excess of $70 million in a matter of 4 months. So we are thrilled by that. We believe now that's much further beyond the 70 million because we captured that earlier this spring. But we continue to see the incremental valuation increases from the insurtechs that we engage with through their process in the accelerator. So that's Tower 1.
What is the criteria that you are checking? How is that connect to your strategy and how the startup is going to benefit? Beside the 50K of a safe, that's a small money compared to growing the business.
Sure, absolutely. So now I'll touch on the 2021 cohort. So if you think about the 12 insurtechs, and I know you've had the great pleasure of visiting with a few of them through your podcast and InsurTech LA, so thank you for that. But we just last week measured the 12 insurtechs and how many pilots, proofs of concepts, and commercial engagements they had received within a 5-week period. So 5 weeks of being in the BrokerTech Ventures class, pre-BTV and post, there are, as of last check, more than 115 commercial engagements through pilots, proofs of concepts, and or signed customers in a 5-week period. So we have the testimonials from the startups saying, you've set us ahead 2 to 4 years in our business plan in a matter of 5 weeks. And it's simply because we've created this convening platform of insurance brokers and insurance companies that they are offered immediate access to through BrokerTech Ventures. So that's the magic. The 50K, as you referenced, that's nice, and that's certainly supportive and accretive to what they're doing, but it's really the distribution model that is the benefit of what we've built at BrokerTech
Well,
Ventures.
The 50K, we used to say that the 50K or there are other accelerators that are a little bit, the check size is smaller, it will cover the travel and dinners and lunch, maybe. But it's more important, it is a remarkable number of meetings, businesses, POCs, etc. 115 in 5 weeks. That's incredible.
5 weeks.
Now, is that only Holmes and Murphy or other partners that you bring in?
We have 13 brokers who are a part of BrokerTech Ventures and 12 insurance companies and wholesalers. So, if you think about the real value that each one of those companies individually bring to the table, and then you collaborate and have 25 of them come together, it's pretty powerful.
How did you sell it to the partners?
How did we sell it to the partners?
So I assume that the idea, popped up one day. One of you in Holmes Murphy said, we started. Then you had the whiteboard sessions, and should we do it ourselves or should we bring more partners into the pot, right? You are one of the biggest brokerages in the US, if not the world. I think last time I checked, it was $4 or $5 billion in premium. And you are not working in a vacuum. On the contrary, you guys it's all about relationship and working as a brokers, of course, between the customers and the insurers. So how did you sell it to other partners and other brokers, other insurance companies to bring them into BrokerTech Ventures?
Sure. So Holmes Murphy has a rich history of leading out entrepreneurial visions like this. And, an example, and I know you've met Dan Keough in the past. So Dan founded a company that Holmes Murphy still owns and operates, and that company is Innovative Captive Strategies. And if you think about the group captive space, the beauty of that model is shared risk with agencies and coming together in a shared risk model. So when Holmes Murphy had conviction around BrokerTech Ventures, you hit it exactly on the head when you said we could have done it alone, but we knew we'd be better and we could move faster if we brought in others along the way. So we called up agencies that we were close with. We started with M3 and invited M3 to be a co-founding partner, and then we broadened it from there. So the agencies who are a part of BrokerTech Ventures are what we believe to be the blue ribbon roster of agencies in the United States. And we have representation from Silicon Valley to New Jersey to an announcement that just went out this morning, but we have added 2 additional brokers to our platform. So we now have a representation in Portland, Oregon and in Tampa, Florida. So we're just really thrilled, and we believe these are the most forward-leaning companies who also share a philosophy. We like to coin and talk a lot about the infinite game mentality.
What is that?
Are you familiar with?
What is that?
Okay. So do you know the name Simon Sinek? The author, okay, and thought leader.
Mm-hmm.
So Simon Sinek's latest book is a book called The Infinite Game. And the infinite game philosophy is all around in life and in business. There are 2 ways of thinking. There's a finite mentality and an infinite mentality. The finite mentality is what we believe the way insurance has been for years, which is there's a winner and a loser. Someone wins the business, someone loses the business. Someone goes home with the ball, someone goes home without the ball. In an infinite game philosophy and mentality, the infinite goal is to keep playing the game. And if you approach business, if you approach life with that mentality, you bring in what we call worthy rivals. So those who are potentially in the same business, potentially in the same geography as we are, but they might view something a little bit differently that could help us all and bring our industry forward together in the name of innovation. So we talk a lot about the infinite game philosophy. All of our agencies prescribe to that mentality, as do the insurance companies and wholesalers that we work with through BrokerTech
That's great.
Ventures.
First time that I hear about it. Love it. Thank you very much. Because I was actually about to talk about something that in the insurance industry, maybe it's not in the agent, but a little bit higher. It's not a zero-sum game. So it's if we're looking at game theory, there is a lot of play there. But if you just talked about the fact that, there is a business who is winning the business. Now, as you go up and you see that brilliantly in the London market, that no matter if you're a competitor, at the end of the day, you need to collaborate with everyone and share the risk so you can actually gain the business. So there is a lot of not frenemies, but a lot of collaborating with the competition. And we see it a little bit more to the extreme when we are dealing with the venture capital, when you want to do all kinds of syndications, co-invest with other folks, but at the same time, you want to compete with other investors. So I love it. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. The book is great, so highly recommend it. But we can't coin it. Simon Sinek really should receive the credit for that. But it is philosophically what we've built our company around.
Have you seen new partners joining and new startups since? Well, it's only the second cohort. You are just at the beginning.
We are just at the beginning. I said we're headed to the moon, but we knew we had to get off the launch pad first. So I would say, we had a very successful first year. We're seeing the same success in the second year, and that allows us also to focus on building out the rest of our towers of operation and our strategic business initiatives for the company.
What is the profile of the companies that you have in the cohorts?
Great question. So we have a really nice blend this year. Not that we didn't in the 2020 cohort, but we were very, I would say, property and casualty heavy in the 2020 cohort, which all the best and great success cases we've seen. So this year we were perhaps more intentional around diversification, not only in terms of commercial property and casualty, as well as life and health. So health tech, clinical tech, benefit tech. We have, I would say, 3 or 4 in this year's class that would fit that mold. And then I would say the third category would be more around efficiencies. So efficiencies within our own agencies, or efficiencies between broker and carrier relations. Effectively, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do and why we built BrokerTech Ventures is to help our customers, our agency customers, identify their risks sooner and drive down their costs faster. And we believe if we can do that through innovation and technology, we bring better books of business and better risks to the carriers and wholesalers and reinsurers, and we create better environments for our customers and our own agencies. So that's the other tenet that we talk a lot, or we spend a lot of time speaking around.
So what is the second tower?
The second tower is early stage investments. So I mentioned the Accelerator, and we intentionally created an early stage investment tower, knowing that we would adopt an open door policy. So we have an open door policy at BTV, and what that means is we take meetings all day, all year round with insurtechs who have an interest in learning more about BrokerTech Ventures and what we're doing. And as you know, from being an entrepreneur and a founder yourself, is that startups come in all different life stages, all different forms and formats. And some of them are just at a different place where we have conviction around what they're doing, but they might not be a great fit for our accelerator model. An example of an investment we made through our early stage tower would be Highwing, which is really an exchange that we had conviction around, and we knew Highwing was working. They were born out of one of our brokerages, but they were also doing a lot of great work with carriers. So that was exciting. And then the early stage tower also has offered us an opportunity to provide follow-along funding to graduates of our accelerator. So I know we made 8 additional investments in the 12 companies that went through our accelerator last year. And we're likely going to do the same with several of them who are in our current cohort. That's really around the
Can you share
stage
with us what's the sweet point in terms of investment? The size of the checks?
Sure. I would say, we like to get in early when we can. And so we've taken some stance of trying to reach a check size that allow us an opportunity to have a potential board seat or an opportunity to have play a significant role. But it has been in the seed stage round for the most part, and anything from, I think the lowest was $500,000 up to 1.5, and that's just been within the last 9 months. So I see those growing, but I think they will effectively, each are looked at an individual level.
So far it's $500,000 to 1.5 early stage, so pre-seed, seed, participating in A maybe, and your sweet point will be to have also a seat at the board. Mona?
So that, and again, we're talking today, so we haven't hit on the capital tower yet.
Oh, sorry.
Today, current state. So I didn't want to tease that out, but that's still we haven't touched on that yet.
In that case, I need to cue graphics, and then let's talk about tower number 3.
So tower 3 is innovation. And innovation sits squarely in the center, and it's for good reason. Innovation is where we work with our insurance companies, wholesalers, reinsurers, and we lean in and learn about how they view innovation, and we bring that forward to the insurtech community as well. So innovation is also where we spend time as we're developing our relationships internationally. So I think you know this, but we have an accelerator partnership in Israel, and we are working on expanding in Latin America and Europe. But that all kind of lives within this innovation space, and then it will spill out beyond there. So Tower 3 is innovation, and we also are deploying a community called Labs. So Labs by Holmes Murphy, Labs by M3. And the Labs community, and why it's attached to innovation, is if you think about what truly allows these insurtech solutions to become fully adopted and scale, is only if employees, if talent, if our coworkers within our brokerage firms or carriers or wholesalers if the employees actually engage in that technology to a point that we can see its value and its full potential. So labs is meant to celebrate those within our own agencies and insurance companies who are at the desk literally every day, taking on a new initiative and helping to implement these technology solutions so they can achieve their full potential. So labs would be the last piece I would mention that lives within that innovation tower.
So how do you take that lab environment and later on, from testing in a lab, which is sort of secure, and implement it in the field, opening it up to the winds of the earth?
Sure. So that's also where we see such great opportunity through the BrokerTech Ventures convening platform. So let's use a real life example. So let's use Layr as an example. So Layr, as a part of BrokerTech Ventures, now has an opportunity to engage with not only Holmes Murphy, but 13 brokers and 12 insurance companies. So let's take it a step further. Then let's say out of all 25 of those insurance brands, let's say 6 select to work with Layr in a proof of concept or a commercial engagement. Again, this is hypothetical. We're using this as an example. So now we have 6 groups of employees within all of those companies who are working with the same InsurTech solution. Through BrokerTech Ventures, we bring those groups of 6 employee groups together through labs to trade ideas, share any hurdles we're finding, and then the feedback loop goes back to the InsurTech. So we're coming at them with a cohesive, condensed message from 6 different companies so that we can move the technology forward further, faster because of labs.
And there is a commitment of 6 people.
So that's where, yes.
I'm sorry, I cut you in the middle I'm sorry that I cut you in the middle, but it was very important to understand that there is a commitment. And that's usually the biggest problem that we see, that, and I'm talking to all kinds of insurtechs and startups, their biggest problem is the POC, because there will be antagonism or there will be something, there is no real commitment. And that will be the biggest fall of that POC or pilot or whatever that may be. So for innovation to work, for a feedback to be positive, negative, whatever, but it needs to be true, you need a commitment from the system and especially from the people who are actually going to use it. Now, I love that it's already embedded within your lab and your concept of the lab.
Absolutely. That is, it is, those are the benefits to the startups. They are also benefits to the brokers and insurance companies, because if Holmes Murphy is piloting with an InsurTech and we find an answer to a question because of something we've encountered, and we then share that with Connor Strong, ABD, Woodruff Sawyer, they then aren't having to go through the same hurdle or hiccup or struggle. And we've now moved that technology forward faster. So it is a benefit to all. And then where we see labs, and the exciting part is that we intend on creating a community. So now we have coworkers from various agencies across the country and potentially across the world who are meeting other employees of other firms, and they're brainstorming and they're troubleshooting and they're talking about culture and unique situations with customers. It's really stretching the minds and activating the hearts and minds of our employees. And that's, at the end of the day, what the goal is.
You already provided us with a teaser for tower number 4. Now, if you don't mind. Tell us more about tower number 4.
Sure. So behind tower number 4 is capital, and we intentionally have been working to really stand up BrokerTech Ventures and do it right. So we knew we had to prove that this model was interesting and viable and a value to the industry. So that is what we have spent the last 16 months doing. Once we got to that point, which is really where we are right now, we knew that we had an opportunity to create a fund, a vehicle of capital that BrokerTech Ventures could lead. So we are in the process of building that fund, and I'm going to be able to share just a little bit with you. But the idea is that this would be a BrokerTech Ventures driven and led fund that would have amassed a certain amount of capital so that we could take part in those more significant capital raises. You referenced, would we ever consider Series A, Series B? That's what our fund will allow us to do. So we have a goal of this being a public announcement later this summer or early this fall.
You heard it first here.
But I can share that much with you.
And
What's
you
that?
heard it first here. No.
And you heard it first here. Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And number 5.
Number 5 is near and dear to me, and that is our media and communications tower. So that's why we're grateful for friendships and partnerships like ours, and to be able to really leverage the communications community through the lens of what we're seeing and hearing through BrokerTech Ventures. And really it's our opportunity to thank you for allowing us a platform and a voice. So yes, we do. We pride ourselves on having some really phenomenal companies involved in BrokerTech Ventures, and we use what we see, hear, and learn every day to drive content, whether it's through a podcast recording like this or through relationships as we have with ITC or Leader's Edge or a number of others. But those are the 5. You got them all now.
Amazing. And that was question number 2. Now let's move to question number 3. No, I'm just kidding. I always make sure that we are trying to move away from a Q&A structure and just have a conversation. But it's funny enough that we are already running out of time, and I really want to be respectful for your time, my time, and the audience time, because usually they will go like, oh my God, he told me 30 minutes, and once again, it's more than an hour. No, we are still at maybe 30, 40 minutes in, so we are sort of okay. So here is the questions. Oh, before the question of the end, which I somehow jumped into that. So what's the vision? Where are we going? How BTV is going to be like in the next few years? Because I know I'm jumping here. You're only at the middle of the second cohort with amazing traction and success stories. I don't want to jinx it. What is your vision for the next 5 years?
Great question. So we do have some bold ambitions for leading us to 2025. I referenced a couple of things that are on that ambition list, but we're building toward. So I would say that our focus for 2021 is really around lifting up the capital fund, building out our Labs by BrokerTech Ventures community, expanding internationally, especially in Latin America and Europe, and then further enhancing our media and communications tower. So I think if I were to envision BrokerTech Ventures in the next 5 years, I would say we likely will have had some success cases in terms of insurtechs that have reached their full potential. I definitely would envision that we will have additional brokers and insurance companies involved. And then, you know what? I also would envision that we will have a staff larger than our staff that we have right now, which is we're a startup, so we're running on a shoestring staff, but we've been able to be nimble and run hard and fast with a really fantastic leadership team, and would certainly want to give a shout out to Dan Keough, Ellen Willardson, Mike Victorson, Casey Conroy, and John Jacobin that are really working behind the scenes along with me to build the company.
Most definitely. I think that, you named the team, and it's all about, the leadership, the team, the people who are, I think that you spent like 150% of your time on meetings like this?
Well, it's all relative, right? I mean, when you love what you do, it's all relative.
Yeah. Okay. So finally, I can reach the final question, which is, it's the same question that I'm asking everyone. Can you give us a recommendation of a book, a TV show, or a life hack that you picked up during the pandemic?
Sure. So can I share of a podcast
Of course.
that is I would put yours up there in this category, but I will share because it is one that I think you should be in the same category. So the podcast, and I'm sure you're familiar, but maybe some of the listeners aren't. It is the How I Built This podcast with Guy Raz.
Okay.
And it is all about entrepreneurs and founders and how they built their companies. So I find it fascinating, and these are companies that you would be very familiar with, that products we all know and love, and then some who are earlier stage, still in the building phase. So I aspire that BrokerTech Ventures might be on their show one day, but certainly I look forward to listening to that, because I learn from other founders talking about their own journey in creating their companies. So I've been listening in more intently this year than I had before.
Fantastic. That's amazing. Susan, thank you very, very, very much for joining me today and sharing your knowledge, your experience in the, basically building a platform for building new companies in the future of insurance.
Well, the pleasure has been mine. I thank you for the opportunity, for the work that you do as well, because I again will never forget meeting you. It was very early in my journey with BrokerTech Ventures, and it's been fun to get to know you, to get to know everything you've built through InsurTech Talk, through InsurTech LA, and more. So kudos to you, and thank you for including us.
Thank you.